Hey, and welcome back to the Art of a Life Well Lived. I'm Christine Regan Lake, and it's good to be here again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope you are finding value in the different videos that I put up. Obviously, you can tell I like to talk about relationships, interpersonal development, and specifically narcissistic relationships. If you find value in my videos, I'd love it if you were to like, subscribe, or share any of my content. That helps me to tweak my algorithm to get my message out to more people who want and need to hear what I have to share. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Today, I want to talk to you about 10 reasons why you struggle with expressing yourself in a narcissistic relationship. So, if any of you are unaware, I have been an energy healer practitioner for over 15 years. And what I always found interesting, fascinating, was the fact that so many of my clients struggled with throat chakra blockages. So, what is a throat chakra blockage? That means that essentially people are not capable of speaking their truth. And there's a lot of reasons why that can happen. Beliefs, modeling from your childhood, growing up in a narcissistic family dynamic where your voice didn't matter, things like that. But for the majority of the clients that I have had over the last 15 years, throat chakra challenges, blockages with their throat, with not being able to speak their truth, has been huge. Me personally, I struggled with this myself. Starting in like the fourth grade, I ended up being hospitalized like 5 different times over the next 2 or 3 years because my throat would actually swell up and close over. And I went on to have throat issues for 15 years straight. It was insane. I was on amoxicillin, 2 to 3 times a year, every year for 15 years straight. And later it was funny as I started going into holistic healing, nutrition, natural healing, things like that. I spoke with an acupuncturist and she was like, "Well, it's your throat chakra. What were you not saying?" I was like, "Oh my God, of course, everything." I was swallowing my truth constantly because I kind of grew up in a kind of an explosive environment and it was not safe to express myself in that environment. So anyway, okay, so let's get started. So what are the 10 reasons why you may struggle to express yourself in a narcissistic relationship? This goes to what I just said, is that one, you grew up in an environment where it was not safe for you to express your wants, needs, and desire as a child, because whenever you spoke up, you would be shut down by your parents. It was completely unsafe. You saw and witnessed that maybe your siblings, whenever they did speak up, it turned into a complete and utter nightmare. And so you learned from a very young age that it is not safe to express myself. So what you ended up doing was you normalized swallowing your truth. You normalized saying yes when it was no, things like that. Okay, so what's the second one? The second reason is you don't want to appear needy, right? So if you grew up in an environment that was dysfunctional as a child and you saw that the way that you get love was to be earning and, hustling for your worthiness, right? And so if you were ever too needy, then you might be abandoned. So the fear of being abandoned because you appear too needy forces you to shut down your throat chakra, causes you to not speak up and ask for what you want, need, and desire in various aspects of your relationships, whether it's at work, whether it's in your friend dynamic, in your family situation, with your spouse, things like that. You don't want to appear needy. So what you end up doing is you become, and this was definitely something I remember in my 20s thinking to myself, I had such pride in the fact that I was a low maintenance girlfriend, right? I didn't need anything or whatever. What that really came from was a deep seated fear that if I actually spoke up and complained about a situation, things like that, they would think I was too much trouble, too much bother, and they would abandon me. They would leave and break up with me or whatever. So being that low maintenance girlfriend was something that in that state I thought was a good thing and I was really proud of, but realized I had no idea that it was coming from a place of lack. It was coming from a place of fear and dysfunction, and it was a coping mechanism from my childhood dynamic. Okay, so what's the third one? Basically, you were never taught how to healthfully ask for what you want. So, what you probably saw growing up in your environment was that when your mother or your father, depending upon which one had more narcissistic traits, when they wanted something, they didn't go about like just communicating in a healthful manner but what they wanted. What they either did was they were manipulative about it, they would guilt someone about it. It's a family joke in my family about how much my mom would guilt us about stuff. And so my sister and I have talked about the fact that because of growing up in that situation, we have become like obsessed with not guilting our children and making sure that we never pass on that toxic trait of guilting those people around us, right? So learning to have a healthy relationship is about learning how to healthfully communicate what your wants, needs, and desires are in a relationship, and to healthfully communicate what your deal breakers are, what doesn't work for you. So if you learned coping mechanisms that were dysfunctional in your childhood, where it was really the only way you know how to get what you want is to either lie, cheat, manipulate, steal, guilt people, blame, shame, things like that, it's highly toxic. You have to learn how to start communicating honestly from a place of love, respect, and kindness about what it is that you want, need, and desire in your relationship, and stop yourself. Make a conscious decision to say, I'm not going to embrace blaming. I'm not going to embrace guilt. I'm not going to use manipulative tactics to get what I want. I'm simply going to communicate what I need from a place of love, respect, honesty, and to do it with in a healthful manner, right? No guilt here. Okay. Now the fourth one is you may not really have clarity on what it is that you want. And it's interesting that like in the different sessions that I've done over the years, I'm always very specific, and I have been. I'm like a to-do list writer. I write a 5-year plan. I'm very clear on specificity with what it is that I want. And I was always kind of amazed. I guess I just assumed other people were like that as well. But what I really find is a lot of times people don't have clarity about what they want. They just have this vague feeling of, I just want better. Well, better what? You know what I mean? Like you need like better communication, you need better health, you need more loving, soft, loving touch, you need more respect in your communications, you need to have more transparency around the finances, whatever it is. So a lot of people don't express what they want because they haven't taken the time to get granular and to get specific about what it is they specifically want in the connection, in the relationship, what specifically isn't working for them. Maybe you don't get out enough. Maybe there's not enough intellectual stimulation. Maybe you feel like the relationship is stagnant and you want more intellectually, stimulating conversations, or maybe you need more adventure. Like whatever it is for you, it's about getting clear on what it is that you want, need in that and desire in that relationship, and then embracing the skills of learning how to communicate that information from a place of love, respect, compassion, and kindness. Okay? All right, so number 5, fear of being rejected when you ask for help. So a big problem for people who have grown up in a dysfunctional household where you were constantly having to hustle for your worthiness, earn your love, things like that. Rejection was a big thing. Like you were, if you hadn't put enough in the love cup, say you had a mom who was, kind of that narcissist who constantly needs the attention. If she interpreted your behavior in the last week, month, whatever, as that you weren't giving her enough love, right? You weren't filling her love cup, then she might actually withhold the love, right? So she would be kind of cold or distant, or maybe it's your father, right, who did this. So the idea is that you will be rejected and punished if you were not filling their love cup. So as a result, you kind of walk around in a perpetual state of fear that you will be rejected. So if you speak up, if you ask for something, you're going to be rejected. And so you will avoid that at all costs. Okay, so number 6 is you can't handle any more disappointment. And I have to be honest with you, 6 is one that really, really, really resonated with me for quite a while. And so for me, and I would say not necessarily for me it was about like in terms of the fear of disappointment, right? So for me it was not about like not communicating what I want because of disappointment. For me it was more just being closed off to relationships in general. Like I had a number of dysfunctional situations that unfolded that just filled me with such disgust that I was just completely closed to new relationships. I would like intellectually, I would tell myself that, yeah, I would want it or whatever. But honestly, I was really closed off. I was not open to it. And that's because anyone who has experienced a significant amount of disappointment with every additional disappointment that you have, you it stacks on itself and it gets harder and harder and harder to open yourself back up to being vulnerable, right? And so if you open up your mouth and you ask maybe you go to your partner and you're like, I want more intimacy in our relationship. I want to bring the passion and stuff like that. And if they shut you down and tell you like you're blowing things out of proportion or whatever, that fear, that like the fear of being disappointed again and again and again stops you from actually being able to communicate healthfully, because it's almost better to delude yourself that, it's not that bad or whatever, but to actually find the courage to speak up about what you want and then have someone shut you down again, having that disappointment, over time when it's been stacked is a very heavy energy, and it makes it harder and harder. So what I find is that I had a lot of clients that when they've had stacked disappointment, their comfort zone gets smaller and smaller and smaller because they're no longer willing to put themselves out there at all, whether it's in dating or whether it's in their relationship, whether it's trying to get they're trying to neutralize any further pain, and the disappointment and the heartbreak that comes with that is too much to bear. So it's easier to just do nothing, stay with the status quo, and just kind of muddle on through, as opposed to stacking another disappointment on top of however many have stacked up over the past year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. So fear of disappointment keeps people from being able to healthfully communicate what it is that they need. Okay, number 7 is you have extreme independence. So this is a trauma response, and basically if you were a child who grew up in a dysfunctional household where you were forced to grow up and really parent your parent, the parentification, if that happens, you became extremely independent at a very young age out of survival. It was purely out of survival. And because of this, your nervous system and your subconscious mind has been trained to have extreme independence and to not ask for help. It's so outside of your comfort zone. It's so out of your norm that it's your operating system, right? Your current operating system is just extreme independence. Do everything yourself. Don't ask for help, because in the past, when you were a child, it became clear that asking for help resulted in nothing. There was no help to come. You had to fend for yourself. It was all about survival. And because you had to become an adult as a child, you have developed this pattern of extreme independence. And that is negatively influencing your ability to open up your mouth and communicate and ask for help. We are pair bonded. Humans are built to be pair bonded. We are built to want companionship, to need people. And support is having a support system is a very important thing for emotional well-being, to know that someone has your back, that you have backup, that it's not just all alone. The belief that you're isolated, alone, and there's nobody out there for you, this will create disease in the body. It can trigger, autoimmune issues, things like this. So it's really important to understand if you do suffer from that extreme independence, it is a trauma bonded coping mechanism. It is not healthy. You may think it's healthy. You might want to convince yourself it's healthy, but it's not. We are communal people. We need other people, and it's okay to ask for help. Okay, number 8, you may have a toxic belief that you're not worthy of it, right? So instead of reaching out and saying, I want to make more money at work, or reaching out to your partner and say, I need more loving touch, I need more quality time, I need more intimate time, I need to feel more wanted and cherished in our relationship. Deep seated feelings of unworthiness may keep you from opening up your mouth and asking for what you want and need in the areas of like love, sex, or money. So just something to think about. Really working on going back to childhood wounds, childhood beliefs, patterns, things that have happened and unfolded in your life that may have taught you or made you erroneously believe that you are not worthy of having all the best that love and life has to offer. And it's clearly, it's a trauma belief. It is not true. Every person born on this earth, the moment they are born as an innocent child, is worthy of all the best that love and life has to offer. You're a divine child of God. Of course you are worthy. Okay, number 9. You basically are in a relationship with someone who has proven to you over and over and over again that they don't have your back and that they don't hear you. If you have in the past communicated what your wants, needs, and desires are, and they fall on deaf ears, so that you are pretty much certain of the belief that, why even open my mouth? They don't hear me. Like, I am not seen, I am not heard in this relationship. If your partner has basically over and over and over again taught you that your wants, needs, and desires don't matter in the relationship because they simply ignore your pleas and requests for those things in the relationship, at a certain point, you're just completely apathetic and you're like, what's the point? Like, why even bother? This is a waste of my energy. It's a waste of my time. But that's completely unhealthy. If you are in a relationship where your wants, needs, and desires are not honored, they're not heard, they're not respected, I would encourage you to go to a therapist, go to some kind of relationship counseling. The Gottman Institute is awesome for that in terms of learning how to better connect as a couple, because you do deserve to have your wants, needs, and desires respected and honored by the person that you're in an intimate connection with. And the longer you stay in a relationship like that, where your wants, needs, and desires are completely ignored, the more that does damage to the foundation, to your self-worth and your self-esteem. So self-care, self-love would encourage you to go either to get the counseling that you need to heal that in your relationship, or seriously consider whatever you need to do to make sure that you can rebuild and protect your self-worth and your self-esteem. And number 10, that you basically have the belief that it's your job to take care of everybody else, right? So you are the caretaker. Again, this kind of connects back to the parentification as a child, that you learned long ago in your childhood that it was all about taking care of everybody else. And as a result, you organically put your needs last. You are the last person on the list of when it comes to, taking care of things that, you look after your spouse, you look after your children, you look after your siblings, and you come last. That is a trauma response. That is because you were parentified as a child and you were forced to take care of the parent because they were unable or unwilling to take care of themselves. So those are the 10 reasons that you may struggle with speaking up and communicating in your relationship. If you find that you resonate with some of these things, I would encourage you to go onto YouTube, do a search on throat chakra meditation, and do a throat chakra clearing meditation. I would also encourage you to maybe do some journaling work and start by trying to do a data dump and pull out of yourself, like, what is it that I have been suppressing? What are the things that I have not been saying in my interpersonal communications? And I would do a list of all the key people in your life, whatever, if you're an intimate connection, your children, your siblings, your parents, your cousins, coworkers, boss, whatever. Write down the person's name and then do some journaling under what, if anything, what truth am I swallowing with this individual in my life? And start to really pull it out of yourself and start to get clear on all the different people and all the different ways and all the different topics in which you swallow your truth and you don't communicate from a place of raw truth and honesty. Because when you swallow your truth, you are betraying yourself and you are also living a contradiction, right? And the physical body does not like contradictions. When you have a contradiction where you're essentially living a lie, that will cause dis-ease in the body because the body wants to be congruent. The body wants to have its thoughts, beliefs, and actions to be in complete alignment. And when you refuse to speak your truth and when you swallow your truth to maintain your relationships, you are betraying yourself, you are creating a contradiction in the physical body, and that will ultimately lead to dis-ease and illness in the body. So I'll just quickly recap for you what those 10 reasons are. Again, one is it's not safe for you to express your wants, needs, and desires. You found that out as a child. It could be physically threatening to you if you were to speak up and defend yourself, things like that. So it was not safe for you to express your wants, needs, or desires in your environment. Two, you didn't want to appear needy, right? If you're too needy, someone may leave. So you become obsessed with being the low maintenance or no maintenance girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Your needs don't matter. Number three, you were never taught how to ask for what you want. You probably learned how to model coping mechanisms to get what you want by either lying, cheating, stealing, blaming, guilting, shaming, things like that. Totally unhealthy, not a healthy way to maintain your relationships. Number four, you may not have clarity on what you want. You just kind of have this vague, this isn't working for me, I want something better, but you don't have specificity on what it is that you want. And so if that is applicable to you, I would encourage you to do some journaling right now and say, what is it that I do want? What do I want in my emotional life? What do I want in my physical life? What do I want in my mental life? What do I want in my financial life? What do I want in my sexual life? Get clarity on what you want in every area of your life. Clarity is power. You have no power or fuel to change if you don't have clarity about what you want. Vague needs or wants are not going to give you the fuel to change. Okay, number five, fear of being rejected when you ask for help, right? So rejection wounds are huge. Rejection wounds go deep and they go all the way back to childhood. Super important to understand that. And so if you have a fear of being rejected, that's going to keep you from communicating what your wants, needs, and desires are. Number six, you can't handle any more disappointment, right? So you're pretty certain that if you do express how you feel, you do express what your wants, needs, and desires are, they're probably not going to be met anyway. So your fear of disappointment stops you from speaking up about what it is that you want. Number seven, you as a child were parentified and you had to become the parent to your parent as a child. As a result, you developed a tendency for extreme independence where you never ask for anybody's help. You do everything on your own. This is a trauma response. It's not healthy. And this is definitely something you want to address because we are built for human connection. We are built for pair bonding. We are built for, community, where to know that people have your back, and to feel that you're always on your own puts a tremendous amount of stress on your emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Number eight, you have toxic beliefs that make you think that for whatever reason you're unworthy and not worthy of receiving unconditional love, respect, kindness, and support from the people that need you. It's an erroneous belief. That is a trauma. That is a belief that has resulted from trauma in your childhood. I would encourage you to seek out whatever kind of healing therapy you need, energy work to release that belief from your body, from your nervous system, from your subconscious mind, because you are worthy of unconditional love. You are a divine child of God, and you are worthy the moment you were born. You don't have to do anything to earn love. Okay, number nine, you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't hear you, right? Anytime you do communicate your needs, it falls on deaf ears. this is something that you really need to address. You either want to go to therapy with that person, or you need to have kind of like a come to Jesus meeting, or you have to decide for yourself, do I want to stay in a relationship in which my wants, needs, and desires don't matter? I mean, is that really what you want for yourself? Is that truly what you deserve? And number 10 is that you have a belief that it's your job to take care of everybody, and so you organically, you systematically, hardwired to put yourself last, and to think that everybody else's wants, needs, and matters desire more than you, and so you put yourself last. Again, this is something that needs to be addressed from self-healing, from self-love. You want to start learning how to say no and start putting yourself first and say, you know what, you have to fill your own cup. You can't expect anybody else to fill it. You have to fill your own cup. And then once your cup is filled, then you have the excess overflow to give to others. So those are the 10 reasons that you may struggle to express yourself in your interpersonal connections, whether it's an intimate relationship, your relationship dynamic with your siblings, your immediate family, cousins, coworkers, or your boss. So I hope you found value in that. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.